Hey kids, get in my van.
It's time for comics.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Comic Book Van. And I am the comic book man, Angel Hernandez. I decided that I probably should introduce myself since last time I did not give my name. And now you know, my name is Angel Hernandez. I have Stephanie here with me again as always. So she might chime in from time to time, but for now she's going to be just silently putting up with my shit for a while. What I wanted to talk about is that I didn't really give a good idea of what I'm going to be doing with the podcast exactly. I mean, I expressed that it's about comic books, but I didn't really get into the meat of what I was hoping to accomplish by doing it. So, the mission statement here. There's a lot of things out there that are comic book related. There's toys, there's games, cards, movies, statues, posters, prints, original artwork. If you're still buying comic books, you can get them in trade paperback form, cartoons, direct-to-DVD movies. A lot of material out there, but the main focus of this podcast is going to be comic books. Now, the great thing about comic books is that they are the source material for all of this other media that you enjoy. Comic books are made by people who specialize in that field, who know their material extremely well, and most of what you find in the movies is based off of or stolen from comic books and popular writers in the field. So there might be times where I'll talk about something comic book related. We might talk about a movie that's coming out. We might talk about a really cool statue or an artist or something that I feel is important, even if it doesn't directly have to do with comic books themselves. But the main focus here is definitely going to be lifting up comic books and talking about why they're important and just, enjoying a conversation about them. So I do want to advertise a future podcast right now, and that's going to be a review of Guardians of the Galaxy. As soon as that hits, I'll be watching it. I have a guy named Anthony who wants to come onto the podcast and talk about it because he is extremely well versed in movies. As a matter of fact, I can't think of anything else that he enjoys doing other than watching movies. So he'll definitely be joining me for the Guardians of the Galaxy review in the future, and that's kind of what everybody's anticipating right now, right? There's tons of support of it, tons of Guardians of the Galaxy books I'm seeing on the stands. And actually, I haven't picked up any of them except for Rocket Raccoon #1 because that was the book to get this month. Later on, when I talk about my pull list, I'll go into Rocket Raccoon in depth, or as much as my brain can remember right now anyways, and I'll talk about the other books that I bought this week. Chances are this week I'll end up recording another podcast by the end of it because I'm really trying to get caught up. I don't want to be talking about things that happened 2 weeks ago. I want to be talking about the things that are going on right now, the current events in comic books. So moving on, I wanted to bring up something about the last podcast and a certain guy who had me change the name. Yes, I'm talking about James Bring Down the Party Viscardi. Here's why he's a bigger dick than I thought he was. Because I had my ups and downs before I recorded the last podcast, and I thought to myself, maybe I should take it easy. Maybe this guy really didn't mean any harm. Maybe he still doesn't. Then I checked my SoundCloud. I hadn't checked the Let's Talk Comics SoundCloud, the one I created, for a good while after the podcast had gotten taken down, because I assumed, what's the point? I'm just going to go on there and delete it. So when I log on, I see that I did get a message from him. I got a message of him the afternoon that he complained about having a podcast of the same name. And if I had the 2 seconds to react from when he sent that message and to when he reported the name of my podcast being copyrighted material, I might have changed the name. But the fact is, I don't have access to it all the time. I would log on if I was at home, but not while I'm out in the world. And that's where I learned of this information. The message itself, nothing was terribly wrong with it, but it's just a guy covering his ass. It was the most ceremonious way of doing things, where it's just like, look, you can't call me an asshole because I talked to you and I asked you to change it. But you didn't give me any warning. So, fuck him. I'll try not to spend too much time, but, you know, he's kind of a douche, I don't know. But that's about it for the important, or, you know, kind of getting some notes out of the way there for the beginning. So, look for more podcasts. Look for an award ceremony, maybe a monthly award ceremony for the shittiest comic book on the rack, or the shittiest person in comic books, or something, and we'll call them the Viscardis. Maybe the statue will be a little golden ass. Alright. Couple of things caught my eye, and I guess that might be the theme for this today, but I was looking at comicsalliance.com. It's a great website for comic book related news. So I was on Comics Alliance, and I caught the Love and Rockets artist Gilbert Hernandez, I believe his name is doing a take on Wonder Woman. And the dude beefed her up. I mean, she's got the most massive upper body I've ever seen. Really huge arms, really broad shoulders. It looks like the She-Hulk and Wonder Woman as one person. All of their mass combined into one person. And well, I mean, it just made me think a couple interesting things. Kind of like how the role of women are changing in comic books. I mean, you know, we've had to put up with a lot of crap, a lot of over-sexualization. I mean, that's present in comic books, that's present in anime, that's present in movies, but specifically regarding to comics, it's not a free zone when it comes to that kind of stuff either. I felt like he did a pretty good job. I mean, it's definitely his style when you look at it, when you look at the artwork. But do you remember, Stephanie, you remember the picture I showed you earlier? Did one thing about that picture stick out more than anything else? It's probably the boobs. The huge knockers. The ones that are like 3 times the size of her head.
The friends were bigger.
The friend. She had a friend next to her in one of the pictures, and they were huger.
Huger is not.
Huger. That's a word. I'm taking it back. Huger.
It wasn't a thing.
Well, I'm making it a thing then. Okay. Yeah, they were ginormous. That's also not a word, but we use it a lot like it is.
Ginormous?
Ginormous. It's not a word, right?
I'm pretty sure that's a word.
I'll look it up. If that's in the dictionary, I'll eat my hat. Oh, and then the other big girl comic book character related news, the thing that everybody's going gaga over, is the new Batgirl costume. I don't know how many people that are excited for the story itself, but the costume looks really cool. I'm seeing a lot of fan art popping up already. I can only assume that there's going to be a lot of cosplaying of that particular costume as well. The people working on it, Cameron Stewart, Brendan Fletcher, Jordi Belair, and Babs Tarr, who's a new artist new to comic books from what I understand. So here's what I want to talk about. You know, when they rebooted the new DC 52 universe, they had an aesthetic in mind. They had Jim Lee, I think, redesign just about the whole universe. And they had a solid direction, you know. It seemed like not too many of the books that came out could kind of veer too far left or right from that vision. But lately, they've been opening up a lot creatively. I mean, when it comes to flexibility and just being out there on the frontier of trying new things, DC Comics is a company, again, I said this last time, I'll say it again, I have to give it up to them. I mean, even the entire creative team on this new Batgirl book is trying something that I don't think I've ever seen done well in comic books before. They're trying to appeal to young female readers, the modern young female reader. And I gotta say, it looks spot on. There is a fashion-heavy element to the artwork. I mean, like, they look like fashion designs when I look at the character sketches of the new Batgirl. And apparently that's part of the background they're trying to give it. I did have a little bit of an issue with this. I explained this to you earlier, right? And I'm going to explain it again right here. So my problem is just kind of where I'm fearing the direction of the book is going to go. And apparently ginormous is actually a word. Oh my god. It just sounds like slang, doesn't it?
Maybe. Eat your hat now.
Extremely large, enormous. That's what it means. It just sounds like other words that mean big. That's not a good description.
That's how dictionaries work. It's like, go back to this word, and that's the definition of this word.
At what point do I get to find out what it means if I've just never heard about it before?
You don't. That's dictionary. Have you ever looked inside a dictionary?
No.
What?
Not really. Well, I mean, what the fuck? When I was younger, like, yeah, I had a lot of use for it, but I've become,
Well, that's what I meant. Younger. I thought you said you've never looked in a dictionary. I was like, okay.
Not for fun. Not like for fun for like you do.
I'm sorry. I do that kind of stuff.
Okay, Batgirl costume. Back on this. They're moving her to a place in Gotham that they call Burnside. Apparently, this is the hipster corner of Gotham, as they referred to it. Yeah. So, I mean, it just seems a little bit alarming that they're going to make her a modern girl in the sense that she's not really any better than any other human being. I mean, when you have a character like Harley Quinn, when you have the Suicide Squad, nobody's worried about the message that they're trying to send to people. Nobody's worried about the messages that this will send to kids, particularly kids that they're trying to get interested in their books. But if they're trying to get a younger viewer, reader in rather, they should be a little bit more mindful about these things. The message I'm worried about is like, look, Batgirl is just like you, so you don't have to try to be any better than you are. I'll admit that this is debatable, but if anybody is listening, try to take something from it. Shouldn't we also give them a character that's worth emulating? So I want to just break down how I would do this in my universe. This is how I would do it in the Angelverse. She's leaving crime fighting and she's moving to a different place. We've established that. We've also established that the life she's known thus far has been fighting crime with Batman, so she doesn't really know a lot about how teens socialize. So have her start out being herself, being a perfectly fine human being already. And then after being exposed to the modern teen lifestyle, she falls into it. She's like today's hipster youth. She's self-absorbed, she's narcissistic, you can just see her taking selfies all the time. And I'd want that to compromise her identity eventually. That would ruin her mission, or just have this moment where her eyes are open and she sees the people around her are phonies, and she's like, you know what, you guys are fucked up, I don't need this later. What do you think happens to a teenager who defies convention? What happens to a young person who decides they don't want to be like everybody else around them? They get shunned. You get your feelings hurt by people who would have liked you if you just worn the right clothes and liked the right TV shows and liked the right music. I think that continues the drama of her story in a compelling way that makes sense. And it would help create a role model to the teens possibly reading this that really do want to be themselves. On the other hand, I could be taking comic books far too seriously. I'll admit for a second.
Maybe a little bit.
Maybe a little bit, you think so?
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
So, what would you say is the problem with my scenario? Was there anything wrong with the scenario as I laid it out?
It's the scenario for someone who's older. Someone who's, been through all of that. So, of course, you can see it objectively from the outside that, oh, yeah, of course you should be yourself. But when you're young, you don't want to be yourself. You want to be like everybody else. You want to fit in, and you'll do whatever it takes because you don't know what it is to not try to be that way. So there's something in your brain that doesn't turn on till when you're older that, oh, yeah, I don't have to be like everybody else. So, both are perfectly fine stories. Like most things, Marvel's just out to make a good buck, and if they know that kids are going to relate to this type of story, of course they would try to write something that is more like the modern teenage girl, which looks like what they're trying to do.
They want them to be pieces of shit, is what I'm hearing.
You haven't read it, how do you know?
I haven't read it, actually, and so that's where I kind of have to turn into myself here for a second. I'm going to stop ranting, and I'll say this. The artwork looks cool. It's a female artist that they have working on this. It's another woman in the profession, and I think that comic books need more of them, as well as writers. They just have a different perspective, and you wouldn't find them over-sexualizing themselves in a comic book. So, I mean, there's a lot of positives to this, and again, that would be a good person who would create a role model for a younger...
Maybe that's a step in the right direction.
For a younger generation.
They're not having some bluesy... as their main character.
So, again, I think it'll be a fun cosplay too. Everybody loves the costume, and I'm just hoping that this modern incarnation of Batgirl is worth cosplaying. That's all I'm asking. Help her grow up eventually. Help her change. Make her into a good person. Okay, I've spent way too much time on this. I was trying to keep it under 20 minutes, so I'm just going to go into my pool list now. Pool?
Pool.
Pool?
Pull.
Pool.
Are we going pool or pull?
I'm trying to say pool list, like I'm pulling it out of a box.
Pull.
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 I am pulling.
I am pulling. We're going into the comic books that I bought this week. Fuck that. Alright. And Stephanie has helpfully arranged them upside down and in different directions so that I could easily pick them up right now and look at them.
I didn't realize you were going to look at them. I was looking at them.
I got a bunch of different books this week. I got Batman 31. And they're not all up to date. Again, obviously I'm trying to get up to date. Some of them are from the last couple of months. Some of them are from a year ago. But I'll try to separate and I'll tell you which ones are new and old. Batman 31 is only about a month old. It still has the team of Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo on writer and artist duties, respectfully. And it's just a stunning read. I went through the whole thing twice. It features Batman taking on the Riddler, I believe, and challenging him to a game of wits. And it's just so well done. It's just a very good drama. You can read this one comic book and it stands alone. A good comic book, you can pick up and read it, and the writer understands that every comic book is going to be somebody's first, and this is one of those ones that definitely fits the bill. The next book I picked up was Infinity Man and the Forever People. Number 2 was on the stands, but thanks to my local comic book shop, I was able to get number 1. If you're a fan of the Jack Kirby style of art, you would love this book. Hands down, it pays homage to his art style, but it's just so freshly done. Like the inks, the pencil inks combination on this book just makes the book look stunning. I mean, the colors are very vibrant. It's characters you probably never heard of before. They're pretty sure these are all the new gods. Not the most popular set of characters unless you're really into comic books. But this is a book that I would give to anybody and I would say to read. I don't think I pulled a bad one this week, which is probably going to be a little less entertaining because I'm not going to bash anybody, but I picked up a lot of good books and I'm proud of the ones that I got, and I would highly recommend all of these. The next book on the list, Batman 66 Means the Green Hornet. It continues the story from last time. They're caught on a train and they are trying to get off before it goes under a bridge and kills them all. We find out in this issue, spoilers, if you have not read it, that the Joker is involved and he's working with that Captain Gummy guy or Gum guy.
Is he supposed to be Bane, or is that just the voice?
No, okay. We were listening to the podcast today that Kevin Smith and Ralph Garman do. They did Hollywood Babylon Comic Con Theater, and during that podcast, they were using different voices, and Kevin Smith was using his Bane voice to read the part of a Gum enemy guy.
I thought he was Bane because his face is covered.
No. If it was Bane, he would be packed. This is the voice of a person that doesn't read comics that often, people. I should just say, when she's here, she'll be the voice of reason and inexperience with comic books. So, it's actually quite a wonderful experience. It feels like a journey, man, because every month that these books come out, and we're barely on the second issue right now, you get to listen to the podcast and have the comic book being read to you. This is an idea I myself want employed. I have people with acting experience, with some theater experience, and other people I think that are just talented in using their voices, willing to do this very thing. And as soon as I can look into the legal aspect of it and find out if I could present a theatrical performance in a podcast of a comic book, I will get back to you and let you know if that's possible, because it would be a real shame if we couldn't. This podcast has already been plagued with problems with copyrights. Anyways, Batman 66 Means the Green Hornet. If you're not reading it, even if you're not a fan of the Adam West Batman series, this is highly enjoyable. You've never read comic books before this, right? And you seem to enjoy this series?
Yeah, just the ones you've given me, but yeah. I always thought the old series that's based on is quite a entertaining watch.
Well, because you think it's like cheesy and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But this is actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
In its own way.
In a cheesy sort of way.
In a cheesy way. Okay, we got to experience some new comic books today, a little bit more indie, if you will. They came out from Image Comics. It's not true indie, but these are really fun, and these are a lot different from what you're going to find from Marvel Comics and DC Comics. The main book we picked up today, the really great book we picked up, was Fatale. It's by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. Honestly, we were going through 50 center bins over at the collectibles show and picked out these ones on a whim because the covers were just so stunning that it seemed to make sense that we pick them out and try it out. So I picked up issue 14 and 15. We read both of them, and I mean, it was literally like we read one issue, we devoured it like we were two starving people, and it was a hot meal. That's a really bad analogy, but we devoured these books. Like, we read one and we said, screw it, let's read the other one. Read the second one, fun, just a bucket of fun. I can't really tell you what happened in the story because it was complex. It was
Well, we read 14 and 15 in a series, so I think that didn't help.
That also didn't help. We read 14 and 15 instead of starting on number 1, but it was so good that I'm going to go back and find myself the rest of the issues. I would definitely say it's kind of like a crime noir type book. It seems to be traveling through time. There's a mystery involved in it. There's superpowers. It jumps all over the place from World War II to the 80s to the 90s to maybe the turn of the century. At some point, I can't remember all of it because it was a winding road. I picked up Rocket Girl number 5. That also came from Image Comics. This is another woman who's writing a book, and then her name is Amy Reeder, and the artist is Brandon Montclair. Also really good. Just a very good, aesthetically pleasing comic book. A fun, fast read. No advertisements in between the pages. Rocket Girl apparently is a time traveler. She, somewhere in modern day, she travels back to the 80s, and with the knowledge of the past, she's trying to change things, is what I gathered from this. Again, issue number 5, not the best place to start, but highly enjoyable, highly recommendable. I'm going to move into the last books now. I got Nightcrawler. I'm following up on Nightcrawler as well, number 2. You know what? All those things I complained about last week with Chris Claremont's writing, easily fixed by issue number 2. It had a completely different feel, almost as if he got the memo.
You bashed the last one?
I didn't bash the last Nightcrawler book, but I complained about how wordy Chris Claremont's books are and how he has this banter between characters that's unrealistic. Kind of like Adam West, like, hey, old chum, you know, it's similar.
I thought that's the charm.
Well, I'm kind of starting to see that, but, you know, I felt like it was a bit much for a number 1 issue of a book in 2014. But Nightcrawler continues to pick up and it continues to be highly enjoyable. I hope they keep this team on there for as long as possible. Please keep the team on there for forever. Please, please, please don't change them until we have a good run of Chris Claremont and Todd Knock and Rosenberg. Okay, I'm going to just move on to the final book. The book of the hour, the big one that came out this month, Rocket Raccoon number 1. Stephanie, what did you think of Rocket Raccoon number 1?
I like the art a lot.
Scotty,
That's a really cool book.
Scotty Young art. A couple years ago, I liked this guy, and people would always say, oh, his artwork's cute. It's fun looking, I guess. You know, they liked it, but they didn't really sound too enthusiastic about it. I mean, I was into those Oz books big time. I was trying to find all of them. They were a big part of my collection. I was trying to emulate his art style in my own art. I love this guy's work, Scotty Young. He wrote this book too, and that had me concerned for a moment because a lot of times I'll see artists turn into writers on books, and then you kind of can see the decline in quality, but this was not the case at all. It was funny from the beginning to the end. Rocket Raccoon is going to what looks to be like a wrestling event where Groot is fighting some other guy, and at the same time he's trying to take a girl he rescued out on a date. I think that was more or less the plot, and some shit goes down. Doesn't turn out well for him. Turns out he's wanted for murder, and the story seems to be following an And spoilers if you haven't read it, but it's been 2 weeks and 300,000 copies of this were pre-ordered, so I'm sure you did. But at the end of it, it turns out to be his ex-girlfriends. A lot of them are hunting him down and I guess trying to kill him. And they also framed him for murder. It's really entertaining. I would say if you can still get your hands on a copy of it, it's a piece of art. I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like comic book artists today are the modern avant-garde artists. I feel like they're the modern surrealists, the modern, masters. Not everybody feels that way about it, but this is a form of art that I think should be highly respected. And I say that as an art major. Again, Rocket Raccoon. It's highly enjoyable. I would definitely suggest picking it up, taking a look at it. The great thing about comics today is there's so many places where you can get them. I mean, there's online stores, mycomicbookshop.com. You can go find a local comic book store. There's actually locators online that will find the one that's nearest to you. There's Comixology, which you can have it on your Android or smartphone. Whatever.
Apple or your Android.
Your Apple or your Android, whatever the kids are saying these days, the young people that I can't relate to apparently. And you can get them there. And the great thing about that is, one, you don't have to wait. You can wake up, and as soon as they're available, you can download it on your phone or your pad. What's the pad called? The
iPad.
The iPad.
Or tablet.
Or tablet. You can download it on any one of those things. Again, this is a journey for me. I'm learning new things about the world of comic books, and apparently new things about the world, because so much of it is centered around the new technology that's available these last couple of years, which, being a shed-in as I am not often exposed to.
What is this technology thing you speak of?
That's me in a nutshell. So again, I hope you will continue to take this journey with me as I learn more, and I also learn more about podcasting and comic books and technology. So thanks for listening. I'll be having another show up very soon to follow this one, because I'm trying to get caught up in the world of comics and all the current events and all the big storylines happening right now. Thanks for listening. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.